consciousness. And today we're going to be talking about the 5 different foods that are not healthy.
Hi, family. It's me again. I just had to make this video to reach you to let you know that there's still hope, okay? And with that being said, I just have to talk about our lifestyles. This video was in the making for a long time. I just had to enlighten you on certain choices that you're making and to let you know that in as much as you might have been doing that all your life, that there is still room for change and it can still be beneficial in the long run. And with this whole global chaos, lockdown, quarantine, and all of these regulations that are restricting and restraining people all over the globe, you know, people are still not mindful as to what they put into this vessel, this avatar, what they feed themselves with. And we need to remember that our plate determines our state. So when you see people behaving and, just going on in all different sorts of fashion, then you need not worry because you should just check out their plates. And then you will know why they are the way they are, why they're behaving the way they're behaving. But this is a serious, serious concern. We continue to rush the supermarkets, we continue to, eat their superfoods, not even asking questions, not even worrying, as some may say, you know what, do what you may, we still gonna die. Of course we're gonna die, but how do you wanna live here? Do you just wanna fade away, or do you want your exit to be remembered? At least leave your footprints, leave your footprints, and that of itself will motivate others. So this video here, I just want to talk about 5 of the no-nos, 5 of the foods that we should avoid. I won't say must because, of course, eating is discipline. And if you've been doing this for many, many years, you're not going to just wake up one day and say, oh, I go cold turkey. No, that's not going to happen. It takes practice, it takes discipline. And once you are aware, once you're knowledgeable of what is going on, then I'm sure that you're going to make informed choices. I'm sure that you're going to do the right thing for you and for all those around you, your loved ones. Okay? So let's get right into it. Now, digestion is a process which starts in our mouth, okay? With us chewing on our foods to break them down into smaller particles or smaller pieces so that they can be absorbed by the body, okay? So digestion starts in our mouth. So you have to be mindful what we put into our mouth, okay? Now, enzymes are the biological catalysts needed to make this digestion process happen very quickly. Okay? Enzymes. Now, there are different types of enzymes, different enzymes that will break down different kinds of foods, and that you will hear more about as we go along. Okay? Yes, so enzymes are what we need in order to make digestion quicker and easier. Okay? Now, as I said before, that different food groups have different enzymes that assist in the breaking down of them. So let's look at carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates are digested in the mouth, the stomach, and the small intestine. All right, and because our saliva contains that enzyme, the amylase, right? carbohydrates starts breaking down from our mouth. So when the saliva mixes with the food, that breaking down process starts, okay? Now all carbohydrates are broken down into sugar, okay? Remember that all carbohydrates are broken down into sugar. Yes, okay? Then proteins are digested in the stomach and the small intestines, okay? Digestion of protein in the stomach is helped by stomach acids, which is strong hydrochloric acid, right? This also helps kill microorganisms, harmful microorganisms that may be present in the food that we consume, right? This is especially so in meat consumption, all right? That's why you find that when you eat certain meats, you are told that you have to cook your meat at a certain temperature, a certain degree, okay? To help to kill those harmful microorganisms that might be present there, all right? Now remember, your plate determines your state. So you have to be mindful as to what you put on your plate, okay? If you want a healthy state, okay? A state of mind, a state of being, you just have to eat right, all right? Okay, so that's for proteins. Now with the lipids, which are the fats and the oils, digestion of these happen in the small intestine, right? And it's held by bile, which is made by the liver. Now, bile breaks the fat into small droplets that are easier for the lipase enzymes to work on. Okay? Right. So there we have those three groups. We talk about carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. All right? Now, there are some substances that are referred to as non-digested substances. Okay? Non-digested substances does not mean that the body does not absorb them, okay? It simply means that they go straight to our bloodstream. So we have to be mindful of those substances. So let's take a look at those. So minerals, vitamins, and water are already small enough to be absorbed by the body without being broken down. So they are considered non-digested, okay? Now, digestive enzymes cannot break down dietary fiber. You heard that? Fiber cannot be broken down, which is why the body can't absorb it. Right? So the body cannot absorb fiber. That's why it is passed out in the feces or the stool. All right? Now, let's look at some of the processes that happen during the digestive operation, or what happens during digestion, right? And the first one I want to talk about is ingestion. Ingestion. And ingestion is eating, right? When we ingest, we eat. Then we ingest, then we digest, which is to break down what we eat. Then absorption takes place, and after which we egest, right? And egest is different from excrete, right? It just simply means to get rid of what the body would not put into use. Okay? Right. So let's zoom in a little on absorption. Okay? Let's zoom in a little on absorption. Now, in the small intestine, after the food has been broken down, right, in the mouth and the stomach, in the small intestine, the small soluble substances will pass through the walls of the small intestine and go directly into the bloodstream and carried around to the different parts of the body that requires the substance at that given time. Okay? So if the broken down process still has large insoluble substances, we know that those are going to go to the large intestine because that will not be able to pass through the walls of the small intestine. What does it take for our foods or the substance, the soluble substance, to pass through the walls of the small intestine, right? Now, in the small intestine, there's a process that is called adaptation, right? And intestine must adapt in order for absorption to take place, right? Now, the inner wall of the small intestine has adaptation so that substances pass across it quickly and efficiently, right? It has a thin wall, which is required, just one cell, and it has many tiny villi, right? Which gives a really big surface area. So two things that are required, right? A thin wall and a large surface area. So the small intestine has those two qualities, right? Now, if this weren't so, a lot of the digestive food might pass out of the body before it has the chance to be absorbed. Okay? Now, a next process I want to look at is egestion. Egestion. Now, excess water is absorbed back into the body in the large intestine. The undigested remnant is then stored in the rectum, the lower part of the large intestine, until we are ready to eliminate or get rid of it, right? It then comes out of the rectum through the anus as feces. Now, as I said before, do not mix up egestion with excretion. They are not the same. Okay? Right. And we know also excretion is getting rid of waste, but then there are many different forms of waste. But egestion is getting rid of the waste or the insoluble substances from the small intestine that cannot be absorbed. Okay? Right. Now, the digestive system contains many bacteria, right? Which are very important. Why are they important? Now, these bacteria can digest some substances that we can't, such as certain carbs. Okay? We talk about complex carbohydrates. Now, those bacteria also help to reduce the chance of harmful bacteria multiplying and causing diseases, right? And the bacteria in our digestive system also produce some vitamin that we need, such as vitamin B and K. Okay? So you see, there are good bacteria and bad bacteria, good viruses and bad viruses. Okay? Number one, sugary foods. Why should we avoid sugary foods? Now, added sugar is one of the most detrimental ingredients in the modern diet. Right? However, natural sugar sources are less harmful. The brain does not register liquid calories. Right? Sugar can drive insulin resistance when consumed in large amounts. So we need to be very mindful. Now, sugary foods are strongly linked to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Right? They are also associated with type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and obesity. Number two, starch and or refined carbohydrates or carbs. Now, simple carbohydrates include sugars and the refined grains that have been stripped of all bran, fiber, and nutrients, such as white bread, pizza dough, pasta, pastries, white flour, white rice, sweet desserts, and many breakfast cereals. Now, they do digest quickly, and their high glycemic index causes unhealthy spikes in blood sugar level. They can also cause fluctuations in mood and energy and the buildup of fat, especially around your waistline. When you eat refined or simple carbs, your bloodstream is flooded with sugar, which triggers a surge of insulin to clear the sugar from your blood. All this insulin can leave you feeling hungry soon after a meal, often craving more sugary carbs. This can cause you to overeat, put on weight, and over time lead to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Now, diets which are high in refined carbs and sugars have also been linked to high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, hyperactivity, mood disorders, and even suicide in teenagers. Now, you can see that starches, refined carbs, sugary foods, they are all linked, right? Because all starches in the digestive system has to be broken down into sugar. That's the only way the body can absorb them, okay? So they are all, or they are both in the same boat, okay? They are both in the same boat. All right. So let's, as much as possible, try to avoid these foods, okay? Use more natural starches, more natural sugars, okay? It's easier on the digestive system, and of course, it's gonna take you a long way. As well as being present in obvious foods such as sugary snacks, desserts, and candies, sugar is also hidden in much of the processed food we eat, from soda, coffee, and fruit drinks to bread, pasta sauce, and frozen dinners. But cutting back on these diets vandals doesn't mean feeling unsatisfied or never enjoying food, comfort food again. The key is to choose the right carbs. Now, complex, unrefined, or good carbs such as vegetables, whole grains, and naturally sweet fruit digest slower. Okay? Complex, unrefined, or good carbs such as vegetables, whole grains, and naturally sweet fruit digest slower, resulting in stable blood sugar and less fat accumulation. Okay? So, you cutting back on starches and refined carbs doesn't mean that you're not going to enjoy sweet things, right? You just have to use them in their natural form. Now, by focusing on whole foods and complex, unrefined carbs, you can reduce your intake of sugar and simple carbs. Keep your blood sugar stable, maintain a healthy weight, and still find ways to satisfy your sweet tooth. You'll not only feel healthier and more energetic, you could also shed the stubborn belly fat so many of us struggle with. Number 3, processed meat. Now, processed meat is meat that has been preserved by curing, salting, smoking, drying, or canning. Now, food products categorized as processed meat include sausages, hot dogs, salami, ham, cured bacon, salted and cured meat, corned beef, smoked meat, dried meat, beefy, beef jerky, and canned meat. Okay, so these are all considered processed meat. Okay, now eating processed meat is associated with increased risk of many chronic diseases. These include high blood pressure because of the level of salt content, the very high level of salt content, heart disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is COPD, bowel and stomach cancer. Now, one thing is clear: processed meat contains harmful chemical compounds that may increase the risk of chronic diseases. Okay, so you may say that have these been proven? Have they have studies been done, right? But yes, many studies were done, and in as much as there can be other indicators right, that can cause all of these disease type. Processed meat attributed to many of them, right? So as one, I remember one nurse said at one of her speeches, she said that taste is acquired. So salt and sugar, they're not part of us, right? Those tastes are acquired because naturally we know nothing about the taste of salt or the taste of sugar, right? So I think we can leave them out, right? We can leave them out because the refined foods, the processed foods, and all of them, it's either too much sugar, too much salt, okay? So I think when they manufacture things, they are really not taking the health of humanity into consideration. They are just manufacturing for the want or the love of money. Food number 4, dairy foods. Dairy foods. Okay? Now, milk and other dairy products are the top source of unsaturated fat in our diet, contributing to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease. Now, studies have also linked dairy to an increased risk of breast, ovarian, and prostate cancers, right? And the reason being is because these foods are mucus causing foods, right? And mucus is one of our greatest enemy, one of our greatest enemy, right? Every disease that you can think about, mucus is the contributing factor. Now, milk and other dairy products are the top sources of artery clogging saturated fat in the human diet. Milk products also contain cholesterol. Now, diets which are high in fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol increase the risk of heart diseases, which remains the top killer. Not COVID, not the flu, not AIDS, but heart disease. Now, cheese is especially dangerous, right? Cheese is especially dangerous. When you look at the process by which cheese is manufactured, it makes you sick to the stomach, okay? Now, typical cheeses are 70% fat. Infants and children produce enzymes that break down lactose. That is the sugar found in breast milk and cow's milk. But as we grow up, many of us lose this capacity, right? When I was a child, I think as a child, I understood as a child. But now I become a man, I put away childish things, okay? So, babies need milk, adults don't. Okay, now lactose intolerance is common, affecting about 95% of Asian Americans, 75% of Native Americans, 70% of African Americans, 53% of Mexican Americans, and 15% of Caucasians, right? This is a study that was done, right? And that's the results. Now, symptoms of lactose intolerant include upset stomach, diarrhea, and gas. Research shows that dairy products have little or no benefit for bone health. According to an analysis published in the British Medical Journal, most studies fail to show any link between dairy intake and broken bones or fractures. In one study, researchers tracked the diet, exercise, and stress fracture rates of adolescent girls and concluded that dairy products and calcium do not prevent stress fractures. Okay? Another study of more than 96,000 people found that the more milk men consumed as teenagers, the more bone fractures they experience as adults. So, all of this rubbish that we've heard that we need milk for strong bones and teeth, nothing so, okay? Research has linked the high fat content and hormones in milk, cheese, and other dairy products to breast cancer. Okay? Now, one study of nearly 10,000 women found that those who consume low fat diets have a 23% lower risk of breast cancer recurrence. They also have a 17% lower risk of dying from the disease. A 2017 study funded by the National Cancer Institute that compared the diets of women diagnosed with breast cancer to those without breast cancer found that those who consumed the most American cheddar and cream cheeses had a 53% higher risk for breast cancer. Okay? So you do the math. The Life After Cancer Epidemiology study found that among women previously diagnosed with breast cancer, those consuming one or more serving of high-fat dairy products, example, cheese, ice cream, or whole milk, daily had a 49% higher breast cancer mortality compared with those consuming less than one half of a serving daily. Right? Further researches have found funded by the National Cancer Institute, the National Institutes of Health, and the World Cancer Research Fund found that women who consumed quarter to one-third cup of cow's milk per day had a 30% increased chance for breast cancer. 1 cup per day increased the risk by 50%, and 2 to 3 cups were associated with an 80% increased chance of breast cancer. Now, regular consumption of dairy products has also been linked to prostate cancer. Okay? So milk is rubbish. And the fifth food that we should avoid is fast food. Right? Now, there's a saying that a hurry bird never builds a proper nest. So, things that are prepared quickly cannot be good for you. Okay? Let's find out. Now, fast food is a type of mass produced food designed for commercial resale. Commercial money, right? And with a strong priority placed on speed of service. You heard that? Speed of service versus other relevant factors involved in culinary science. Okay? Now, fast food was originally created as a commercial strategy to accommodate the larger numbers of busy commuters, travelers, and wage workers who often did not have the time to sit down at a public house or diner and wait for their meal. Now, in 2018, the fast food industry was worth an estimated $570 billion globally. You heard that? The fast food industry. Now, what are some of the long-term effects of eating junk food, aka fast food? Now, eating a poor quality diet high in junk food is linked to a higher risk of obesity, depression, digestive issues, heart disease, and stroke, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and early death. Okay? And as you might expect, frequency matters when it comes to the impact of junk food on your health, right? So don't think if you eat it once or if you eat it twice or if you eat it every blue moon, it will not matter. It will, okay? So those were the long-term effects. What are some short-term effects of junk food? Right? Now, it's human nature to think about benefits and risks over the short term rather than considering the impact our choices have over the long term. That we know. So, how does consumption of junk food affect your body over the short term? Now, a few days of junk food. Just a few days of junk food could change your metabolism. A small study of 12 healthy young men found eating junk food for just 5 days led to a reduced ability of their muscles to turn glucose into energy, even though they didn't eat more calories as part of the study. Now, over the long term, this change could lead to insulin resistance and eventually type 2 diabetes. Another effect of just a couple of days of junk food is poor digestion. Because junk food lacks fiber, eating too much of it could lead to constipation. Okay? Now, if you haven't watched my video on that, you need to, okay? Now, what about just one junk food meal? Now, that single fast food meal can narrow your arteries, leading to an increase in blood pressure. And the quick spike in your blood sugar from eating junk foods high in refined carbohydrates and added sugars can cause a surge in insulin, leading to a quick drop in blood sugar. Now, that leaves you feeling tired, cranky, and hungry for more. See why there are always queues at those fast food giants? Oh, yes. Now, just one serving of junk food can increase inflammation throughout your body. Remember, I said mucus, inflammation, that's our main enemy. Okay? Further, an Australian study suggests that in people with asthma, a fast food meal high in saturated fat can increase inflammation in the airway, potentially making an asthma attack more likely. So it seems the quick hit of junk food, while fleetingly rewarding, does carry short term risk. Right? So not only are there long term risks, but there are also short term risks. Okay? So, every healthy meal helps. That's what you need to remember. Every healthy meal helps. Right? The amount of inflammation and oxidative stress your body will experience after eating occasional junk food seems to be a function of the big picture of your choice over time. So remember, eating healthy meals help, right? Again, your state is determinant on your plate. So let your plate determines your state. Right, so now let's look at how junk food affects our digestion, right? Now, good digestion is very crucial in the maintenance of a healthy immune function. A healthy digestive system depends on a healthy plate. Again, let your plate determines your state. Now, junk food is a classic example of unhealthy eating, which is usually characterized by high proportion of carbohydrates, refined sugars, salt, fats, and low nutritional values, right? Which can raise various health concerns like obesity, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and more. Now, these foods are processed and refined in such a way that they lose, if not all, most of their key nutrients, right? They have low fiber and poor water content. This is by no accident. Trust me, this is by no accident. I always say that manufactured foods are not good for us. And you can examine that for yourself, okay? You can check that out for yourself. Now, junk food slows down the digestion process, making the stomach bloated. It also lacks fiber and water, as I said before, which is required by the large intestine to excrete, right? Which leads to poor digestion, irritable bowel, and of course, constipation, right? Check my previous video, okay? Check out that video. Are you full of shit? Right. Now, one should not have food just for the purpose of satisfying taste buds. Eat to live. Do not live to eat. Now, what can we do, right? Because we are bombarded by so much junk restaurants, junk food all over the place. Everywhere you turn, it's fast food, fast food, fast food, fast life, fast death. Okay? Now, enjoy seasonal fruits because in this part of the hemisphere where we are, we have our fruits by season, right? So eat fruits when they're in season, eat a lot of them, enjoy them. The sugars and the starches from these fruits, they are natural and they're good for us. Okay, and they are of course much easier on our digestive system. Now, eat slowly and allow yourself to focus on the task of eating, letting the body concentrate on the job of digestion, right? So take time to enjoy your food, right? There's no need to rush. I remember when I was younger, my dad said, every time you fill your mouth, make sure you chew 32 times. And I wonder, why 32? But then, I used to laugh at it. I say, okay, so a human adult has 32 teeth. So maybe you chew one time for each tooth. But I understood what he meant. Enjoy your food, take your time and chew, right? Enjoy your food so that your food can be easily digested, okay? Right. Also, eat small amounts. Eat smaller amounts. Some people prefer to have a large quantity in front of them, and it happens maybe once a day they eat one big large meal. Instead, break that large meal into smaller meals. Eat smaller amounts and more frequent, and that's also going to aid in digestion. Okay, but of course you also have to be mindful as to what you have on your plate, right? Less starch, less sugars, right? And more fresh natural foods. Okay. Now, the sun is not the center of the solar system, right? The sun is not at the center of the solar system for no reason, right? Now, everything rotates around the sun. Without the sun, we know what will happen, right? So, every life form on Earth depends on the sun. So, when your food is ripened by the sun, as some will say, when your food is sun cooked, do you think you need to recook or to modify it to make it nicer? Do you think nature doesn't know what she's doing, right? So when nature prepares something, man doesn't need to refashion it. It's only the ungrateful ones who think that they can do a better job that try, right? So let's be grateful for nature and for all that she's doing for us, right? Let's eat our foods as much as possible closer to their natural states and form, okay? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, let me know your thoughts, and of course, share with others. And the process is going to be a hard and long one. It's no quick fix, but gradually try to omit certain undesirable foods from your plate and add more desired foods, right? Add more colorful, fresh, natural foods, and you will see the results, right? You will visit the doctor less, right? Okay, so stay well, stay safe, kiss your moms, kiss your dads, kiss somebody, right? And let love be your religion. Peace. Love you.